Ano ba yung relationship of roots? Bakit yung roots may relationship? Sana all may relationship. Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. Kung bago kayo sa channel na to, please do subscribe, like, follow, and share po para sa mga susunod pa nating contents about sa mathematics tutorials. Ayun na nga, so for today, we are going to discuss about the relationship of roots to the coefficients of a quadratic equation. So ano ba yung mga relationship na nakapaloob dito sa ating lesson? For our relationship number 1, it says that the sum of the roots is the additive inverse of the quotient of B and A. In symbols, R1 plus R2 is equal to negative B over A. Note that R1 and R2 are the roots, B is the coefficient of our second term, and A is the numerical coefficient of the first term. Let us check if the relationship is true. Given x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0, prove that R1 plus R2 equals negative B over A is true. For our first method, we have to check the roots of our equation. In solving that, we need to apply either of the four ways in solving quadratic equation. In this case, we use factoring. And so we have x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0, factored out as x minus 3 and x minus 4 equals 0. Then finding the value of x, we have x minus 3 equals 0 and x minus 4 equals 0. Finally, we will have x equals 3 and x equals 4. Those are our roots. The roots are x equals 3 and x equals 4. R1 plus R2 then will become 3 plus 4 or equals 7. Finally, the latter part of our expression, upon observing the second and the first numerical coefficients of our equation, which is B and A respectively, we will have 1 for A and negative 7 for B. Using these values to substitute with our expression, negative B over A, we have negative 7 over 1. Negative times negative 7 will result to 7 over 1 is also 7. Here, we can clearly see that the value of R1 plus R2 and the value of negative B over A is just the same. 7 is equal 7 is true. For our second relation, we have the product of the roots is the quotient of C and A. In symbols, we have R1 times R2 is equal to C over A. Now, checking if the relationship is true, let's try to prove the same given x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Prove that R1 times R2 is equal to C over A is true. We know that the roots are x equals 3 and x equals 4. Then we try to extract the product of these two roots. So R1 times R2 will become 3 times 4 equals 12. Moving forward to the latter part of the expression, we have C over A. Observing A equals 1 and C equals 12. Substituting these values to the expression C over A, we will have 12 over 1 or just equal to 12. Comparing the values of R1 times R2 and C over A, we can see that they are both 12. Then, R1 times R2 equals C over A is true. Ayan, so try pa natin magbigay ng isa pang example para mas maging malinaw sa inyo yung pag-extract ng ating roots. And paano natin siya mako-compare? And paano natin makikita yung relationship between roots and numerical coefficients? Ang sabi dito, meron tayong x squared plus 5x plus 4 equals 0. And we have the two expressions for the relationship of the roots. We have first the sum, which is R1 plus R2 is equal to the negative B over A. And the second one is R1 times R2 is equal to C over A. Now, the first step daw ay kailangan muna natin siyang ma-factor out or makita yung mga roots. And so we have x times x. Now, isipin natin ngayon ano yung magiging factor ng 4 na magbibigay ng positive 5 when we add it. Diba? We have 4 and 1. Next, so we have x plus 4 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. Then, adding the negative inverse of positive 4 to the equation, we will have x plus 4 minus 4 equals 0 minus 4. Then, we have x equals negative 4. The other root will be x plus 1, and the negative inverse is negative 1, is equal to 0 minus 1. Then x is equal to negative 1. Now, these are the roots of our equation. How are we going to compare the relationship between roots? Ang sabi natin, we have R1 plus R2 equals negative B over A, or the inverse of the quotient of B and A. Then we have negative 4 plus negative 1 is equal to negative B over A. Then, we have negative 5 is equal to what is B? We have negative 5 over 1. Then, negative 5 is equal to negative 5. They are the same. We have R1 times R2 is equal to the quotient of C and A. We have here negative 4 times negative 1 is equal to C over A. Then, negative 4 times negative 1 is 4 is equal to C, 4 over 1. 4 divided by 1 is also 4. Then, 4 is equal to 4. They are the same. So with these proofs and examples, we can somehow generalize that the general form of quadratic equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 can also be rewritten and be alternatively expressed as x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. And since r sub 1 plus r sub 2 is equal to negative b over a, we can substitute negative r sub 1 plus r sub 2 in place of negative b over a. And likewise, since r sub 1 times r sub 2 is equal to c over a, we can use r sub 1 times r sub 2 to replace c over a. Then therefore, we can have x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0 become x squared plus the negative value of r sub 1 plus r sub 2 x plus r sub 1 times r sub 2 equals 0. So this relationship of roots ay napaka-importante in solving several problems, 3 of which are the following. We can use this relationship of roots to the coefficients of a quadratic equation in solving problems involving the following: finding the quadratic equation given the two roots, finding the sum of roots, and finding the product of the roots. This can be the shortest way since we are just using a rule-based method instead of computing. So, kapag memorado natin yung rule at yung relationship ng roots to coefficient, pwedeng hindi na tayo mag-solve kasi isipin na lang natin yung nakalagay sa dalawang rule. And lastly, the missing value of k in any part of the quadratic equation. So yon, try natin isolve yung mga problems which have been introduced doon sa ating previous slide. So for our first example, ang sabi dito, find the equation having the roots of R1 is equal to 8 and R2 is equal to 4. We know for a fact that there exists the relation between and among roots. Kung iisipin natin yung ax squared plus bx plus c na general form ng quadratic equation, ay maaari nating isipin agad ang values ng b and c. Since alam na natin yung relationship between roots. Yung middle term natin kailangan ay maging negative sum ng ating roots. At yung ating last term ay dapat maging product ng ating roots. Bale, ang magiging expression natin ay x squared plus, di ba ang sabi, the negative sum of the roots. So, negative sum daw ng 8 plus 4. X plus yung product ng ating roots. 8 times 4 equals 0. So, simplify na natin siya. X squared plus the negative sum of 8 plus 4. Then, that's 12. Ang negative nun ay negative 12. So, magiging minus 12x. Then, the product of our roots, 8 times 4 plus 32 equals 0. This will become our generated quadratic equation. Siyempre, meron din dyang magtatanong, paano kung may fraction yung roots? Let's have an example. Find the equation having the roots of R1 is 1/2 and R2 is 3. Ganun pa rin naman yung magiging process natin. It's such that we are going to manipulate a fraction number. So, ang sabi natin, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Ang ating general form of the quadratic equation. Then, yung b natin at yung c, yung aalalahanin para makuha yung equation. So, b or yung middle term is the negative sum of our roots and c is the product of the roots. So, we have x squared plus, ano ba yung negative sum ng 1/2 plus 3 plus, ano ba yung product ng 1/2 times 3 equals 0. In order to add fractions, we must need to get first the LCD. Tapos yung LCD, di ba, ang gagawin natin doon, i-divide natin yung LCD sa denominator, saka natin siya i-multiply sa numerator. Ayun yung magiging numerator nyo. Then, copy the LCD for the denominator. Pwede rin naman yung cross-multiply para makuha nyo yung magiging dalawang numerators nyo. Sa ilalim ay magiging denominator times denominator. This will become the negative of the sum of 1/2 plus 3, that is, yung magiging LCD nyo, 2. Then, 2 divided by 2 is 1 times 1, 1. So, ang first fraction natin ay 1/2 plus 2 divided by 1 because a whole number has a denominator of 1. So, 2. Then, 2 times the numerator, 3, that is 6. Correct? X plus the product of the fraction 1/2 and 3. Pag sa multiplication of fractions naman, numerator to numerator over denominator by the denominator. So, 3 times 1 is 3 over 2 times 1, which is 2, equals 0. Simplify lang natin, this will become x squared minus 7 over 2x plus 3 over 2 equals 0. Since we have a denominator of 2, kung babalikan natin yung expression kanina, the denominator is always our a. Para ma-simplify pa natin to into the whole form or whole number form, we need to multiply the expression by the denominator on both sides to cancel out yung mga 2 sa denominator at ma-multiply natin siya sa x squared. So, alternatively, we can have an answer equal to 2 times x squared, which is 2x squared, minus, cancel na to, diba? So, we have negative 7x plus, cancel na rin yung 2 sa denominator, which is 3 na lang siya, equals 2 times 0, 0. Then, this will be the final form of the quadratic equation based from our roots 1/2 and 3. So for our question number 2, it involves the sum and product of roots. Ang sabi dito, what is the A, the sum, and B, the product of the roots given x squared minus 11x plus 30 equals 0. So kung alam na natin ang relationship of roots that the sum is equal to R1 plus R2 is equal to the negative B over A ng ating equations, or yung negative sum ng mga roots, we can know for a fact na inenegate lang natin yung sign ng middle term, tapos yun na yung sum, because we take B, which is negative 11 over A, which is 1. Then, negative times negative 11 is 11 over 1. That is 11. Yun yung sinasabi ko kanina na kapag alam natin yung relationship between roots, mas magiging madali mag-solve sa atin ng mga problems involving sums and product of the roots. Kasi alam na natin, pwede nating sabihin na yung inverse or yung kabaliktaran lang ng sign ng kung anong merong sign yung middle term natin, yun na agad yung magiging sum ng ating roots. Same with the product, we know that R1 times R2 is equal to C over A, or the last term over the first term. Then that is 30 over 1, or just 30. So we can observe here that the last term is already the product of the roots. Pwede mo nang i-take agad yon, then you already have the product of the roots. So ayan guys, we're down to our last example. It says here that find the value of k in 9x squared minus 12x minus k if the roots differ by 3. Since word problem na siya, it will be entailing several steps to solve for the value of our missing k. Also, it will take you time to check the answer. Kailangan natin mag-checking. So for step 1 is representation. So mag-a-assign muna tayo ng values or ng variable to represent yung mga parts na kailangan nating i-solve. We have R1 and R2, di ba? So ano yung magiging representation mo kay R1 and R2? So ang sabi dito, the roots should differ by 3. So ibig sabihin yung dalawa mong roots, dapat yung isa mas mataas ng 3 compared dun sa other. So let us try to use x and x plus 3 to represent R1 and R2. Step 2, solve for R1. Ano ba yung mag-entail doon sa relationship of roots natin na may involve na yung mga given natin na A and B? Diba yung sum, yung gagamit ng B and A. So we have R1 plus R2 is equal to negative B over A. So solving for the value of x in terms of our roots 1 and roots 2, magsisubstitute lang tayo. So magiging x plus 3, since those are our root number 1 and the root number 2, is equal to negative b. We have negative 12. So negative 12 over a is 9. Solving further, we have 2x plus 3 is equal to negative times negative 12, 12 over 9. Simplifying the fraction, or pwede mo na siya agad i-multiply by 9. Depende kung anong way ka mas mapapadali. But for me, I would like to convert it first to its lowest term. So, 4/3 bago ko siya i-multiply sa denominator para ma-cancel out na natin yung fraction. So, let's multiply it both sides by 3. Cancel na to. Then we have to multiply. So, magiging 6x plus 9 is equal to 4. Now, adding the negative inverse of 9, you will have 6x plus 9 minus 9 equals 4 minus 9. Then cancel it out. We have 6x is equal to negative 5. Dividing both sides by 6. Then x is equal to negative 5 over 6. So, x is the representation of our root number 1. So, meron ka ng root 1. The second root will be solved by using our representation for R2. That R2 is equal to just R1 plus 3. So, magkakaroon ka lang ng negative 5 over 6 plus 3. Getting the LCD, which is 6. Then, simplifying our numerator, 6 divided by 6 is 1 times negative 5. Negative 5 plus 6 times 3, we have 18. Then there you have it. R2 will be equal to 13 over 6. Para ma-solve natin yung final value for letter K or yung for letter C natin, we use the product relationship, which is R1 times R2 is equal to C over A. Okay? Then copy natin, negative 5 over 6 times 13 over 6 is equal to C over 9 lang yung given natin doon. Siya yung A. Then, to solve for C, we must be able to multiply both sides by 9 to cancel out the value of 9 in this part. It will just become C equals, paano natin makukuha yung product nitong mga ito? So, by cancellation, we take out 9. That is 3 times 3, diba? Kunin natin yung mga 3 sa denominator. So, this is 3 times 2. This is 3 times 2. Diba? So, tanggalin natin yung dalawang 3, then magtatanggal din tayo ng dalawang 3. Ano po yung natira? We have 5 times 13, negative 65 over 2 times 2, yung mga natira natin, which is 4. So, we have negative 65 over 4 equals C. Yun yung magiging value ng C mo. Now, may value ka na ng C, tama kaya yon. So, we have now the checking process to counter-validate if our answer is correct. So, ayan, meron tayong tatlong paraan para ma-counter-check natin whether our answer is correct or not. Una, kailangan natin i-apply yung sum relationships ng ating roots. Secondly, yung product relationship naman ng roots, at pangatlo, yung nasa problem na they should differ by 3 or dapat pag pinag-minus sila, 3 yung magiging difference nila. Ang root number 1 daw natin ay negative 5 over 6 plus ang root number 2 daw natin ay 13 over 6 na dapat ang sum nila kapag pinag-add yung mga roots ay magiging negative inverse of B, which is negative 12 over 9. Check natin kung mag-i-equal sila. What is the sum of negative 5 over 6 plus 13 over 6? Since parehas naman sila, like fractions, just add the numerator. Negative 5 plus 13, we have, correct? We have 8 over 6 is equal to 12 over 9. Anong simplified form ng 8 over 6? Diba, by dividing both parts by 2, we will have 4 over 3. Then, yung 12 over 9 naman, dividing both parts by 3, since yun yung common sa kanila, we can have 4 over 3 as well. Then, check or na-prove natin siya na tama under the first condition. Next, paano naman yung products? Sa products naman, we can check it by multiplying the roots. So, ang roots natin ay negative 5 over 6 times 13 over 6. Na equal daw siya dapat doon sa ating C na na-solve kanina, which is negative 65 over 4 over kay A, which is 9. So, ituloy lang natin yung computation. Simplify. Numerator times numerator, this is negative 65 over 6 times 6, 36 is equal to complex fraction. Kailangan natin kunin ang multiplicative inverse ng denominator para ma-multiply siya sa fractional numerator natin. So we have negative 65 over 4 times the inverse or the multiplicative inverse of 9 is 1 over 9. Now, negative 65 over 36 is equal to negative 65 over 4 times 9, 36 din. So, na-check natin siya na tama. Next, kailangan naman natin i-check yung difference ng mga roots, which is R2. We have 13 over 6 minus negative 5 over 6. Dapat daw 3 yung maging difference ng mga roots. Okay, so this will become addition since we have minus negative 5. So 13 plus 5, since similar naman siya, we combine or we just take it as 1. Then 13 plus 5 is 18 over 6 equals 3. Then 18 divided by 6 is 3 equals 3. So na-solve natin siya. Okay lahat yung checking natin. Therefore, we can finally say that our value for K or for our value of the last term is equal talaga doon sa C na na-compute natin, which is negative 65 over 4. Sabi nyo kanina, R1 is negative 5 over 6. And R2 is equal to 13 over 6. There you have it. Sana naman ay naging malinaw at though it may be challenging, sana nakuha ninyo yung pinakang gist ng ating lesson and definitely I hope na matutunan at kaya nyo na rin siyang gawin mag-isa. Para sa mga additional practices and examples, sundan at gawin ninyo ang mga sumusunod na examples. Kung nagawa niyo na, check nyo kung tama, ito po yung mga answers. Once again, this is Teacher Mark. I hope natutunan nyo yung mga lessons nyo. Please keep on watching. Just subscribe, follow, comment kung may mga tanong kayo to clarify. Sumasagot ako sa mga questions ninyo. At samahan nyo ako parate sa mga susunod pa nating lesson sa Mathematics 9. Bye!